Our next speaker brings decades of experience in trauma focused care, exploring how healing begins when we recognize and gently interrupt the patterns that shape our inner world. Her talk is titled, What If the Voice in Your Head Isn't You? Please welcome Dr. Laryssa Creswell.
If I'm ever diagnosed with Alzheimer's, don't do like I did with my mom. Don't burden yourself. Just put me in a home. That's what my mother said to me one day. And at the time, I didn't understand why she was saying this. My grandmother had Alzheimer's, and my mother took care of her to the very end. And I watched what that looked like: the exhaustion, the emotional weight, the way caregiving slowly became her entire world. So when my mother said these words to me, I looked at her with complete certainty and said, "Mom, I'm not going to do that. If that ever happens, you're going to stay with me. I'm going to take care of you." And I meant it. What I didn't realize is that I was making more than a promise. I was stepping into a pattern I'd already seen in my family time and again, one shaped by love, sacrifice, and responsibility. Years later, my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And suddenly that promise I made out of love became something else. It became a message I carried, a message about what it means to be a good daughter. And at first, it felt simple. Of course I would take care of her. That's what love looks like. But Alzheimer's doesn't stay simple. It progresses slowly, relentlessly. And over time, the care became more complex, more exhausting, and more consuming. And somewhere along the way, something else quietly began to take root in my life: guilt. The kind of guilt that whispers constantly, "You said you would do this. Well, you can't stop now. If you change course, people will think bad of you." What's interesting is I'm a mental health professional, and I help people understand the emotional narratives that shape their lives. I help people question the inherited beliefs about who they're supposed to be. And yet, in my own life, I was stuck in a cycle of inherited expectation about love, sacrifice, and what it means to be a good daughter. You see, the messages we carry are powerful. Some are passed down through families, some come from society, some come from our cultures. And those messages turn into rules, rules about what it means to be loyal, what it means to be strong, what it means to be a good person. But something I've learned as both a therapist and a daughter is this: the feeling we call guilt isn't always about doing something wrong. Sometimes it's something else entirely. Guilt is often loyalty to a message that no longer fits the life we're living now. I didn't realize what was happening to me until I had a conversation with my uncle. And I was telling him how hard everything had become, how overwhelmed I was. I wasn't sure how much longer I could sustain this, but I didn't want to break the promise to my mother. And he said something so simple, yet it changed the way I saw the situation. "Laryssa, you are taking care of your mother, and getting her the care she needs is doing exactly that." Now, on the surface, that might not sound so revolutionary, but for me, it changed the way I saw everything. I realized the message I had been holding onto wasn't actually about caring for my mother. It was about how I thought the care she needed had to look. In my mind, caring for my mother meant doing it all alone, handling it all by myself, sacrificing whatever necessary. But what if I was thinking about this thing all wrong? What if care meant building a team around her that could support her in the way that I can't? What if love didn't always look like sacrifice? It may look like surrender. Surrendering the belief that I had to do it all alone. Eventually, I made the decision to move my mother to a memory care facility where she could get the specialized care she needed. And instead of losing a relationship, I got pieces of it back because I was no longer her exhausted caregiver. I could just be her daughter again. Now, in my time as a therapist, I see this pattern everywhere. And while my story happens to be about caregiving, this talk isn't really about caregiving. It's about the invisible messages that shape all of our lives. What starts as a message from someone else eventually becomes a belief we mistake to be our own. We don't adopt these beliefs consciously. They seep in through the way we grew up, through the cultures we were raised in, through the promises we made to the people we love. And over time, they stop feeling like something we were told and start feeling like something we simply are. That's the cage. But there is a door. And for me, that door opened when I started asking a different set of questions that would help me to separate what I had been taught from what was actually true for me now. 4 questions became my guide. The first, what do I want? Not what makes others comfortable, but what do I actually want? The second, what do I need? Want and need are often 2 very different things. And until we can name the need underneath the guilt, we stay stuck. The third, what do I expect? Here's where the beliefs live. It's when someone else's message becomes so loud that we start to mistake it for our own voice. And the fourth, what are my intentions? When we can understand why we're doing something, we can finally tell the difference between a choice made out of love and a choice made out of fear. Those questions didn't lead me to walk away from my mother. They led me to something better, a new belief that getting the care she needed, I didn't have to do it all alone, and that love could look like letting others in. So the next time guilt shows up, just pause and ask yourself, what do I want? What do I need? What do I expect? What are my intentions? We are all carrying messages, but some of those messages came at a different time in our life. And growth sometimes asks for us to set them down and choose a different belief that fits us now. So I'll leave you with this. What message are you still carrying that no longer fits the life you're living now? Thank you.